Hey guys, it is Vanna Hughes. I am the founder of the Trinity Integrative Holistic Medicine and Counseling Services. And I healthy sex in the last video. If you didn't see that, please go back and look. But here I want to talk about what is unhealthy sex. So unhealthy sex, we call that sexual compulsive behavior. I think that's very important because the term is sexual compulsive behavior, meaning that there is a compulsive nature to it. A person cannot have a sex addiction or a porn addiction or a masturbation or anything of that nature unless they have the following. They must have distress. They must have compulsion or obsession, and really it goes this way. They must have an obsession or compulsion. They must have an act out of that, and they also have to have distress, meaning they do not want it. There are people who have obsessions and compulsions, but they do not act out on the urge. We would be looking more at an OCD personality or an OCD thought disorder, okay? But when they have the OCD and they act out on it, that's when you start having OCD. Sexual addiction, compulsivity, they kind of look very similar in that nature. Now, there is a compulsivity to it and a need to act out. I did hear some people, and there are a lot of people, there are a lot of therapists and psychiatrists and, mental health professionals who will say, hey, you absolutely can be addicted to pornography. You absolutely can be addicted to masturbation. You absolutely can be addicted to sex. And then you have others who say that's ridiculous. You cannot be addicted to sex or porn or any of those behaviors. And they say don't even compare it to a substance abuse or substance use addiction. I would like to say the answer is yes and yes. Okay, so remind you, certain substances like benzodiazepines, alcohol, opiates, those call dependency. And there's a difference between someone having like a substance abuse addiction and they are abusing it versus them having a dependency on it, meaning their body needs it to survive. So can someone have a sex addiction to the point where their body needs it to survive? No, they're not going to die of an opioid disorder or a disorder, but an opioid relapse or overdose or benzo overdose. They won't have that. But the compulsivity can lead them into dangerous situations that can cause them to be, that can cause them to die, right? Like AIDS, random places where people get raped. There are different things. The other thing is, there isn't a dependency necessarily, but I also would caution to say that we know that the way that the body produces dopamine is literally by working out, having sex, and eating. So the body is dependent on making dopamine, and one of the ways that it does that is through sex. Now, so can a person be addicted to the actual pornography? So science has shown that pornography actually does rewire the brain. It rewires the brain into not a natural state, but into a self-seeking state where it craves more and more dopamine, just like any other addiction. And when they can't meet that tolerance, they have to increase what we call a shock factor. And a shock factor could be maybe they went to porn and then they moved, and maybe it was just regular porn, and then maybe they moved into gay porn, and then they moved into trans porn, and then they moved into bestiality, and then they moved into like incest, and then they moved into hardcore, and next thing you know, they're watching child porn. Like that, those are shock factors, right? But even so, there becomes this line where the shock factors, because the brain is rewiring to like, I need more, then the brain starts desiring more of a shock factor. And that's when we start seeing people acting out on it. Like, I need to go to a massage parlor to get a happy ending, or I need to, purchase a prostitute or an escort, or they have sexually abused the child because they were watching so much child porn, or they get into these websites and things where people are doing age play, and it becomes very serious, right? And so individuals who have this type of dysfunction, they don't want it. It's not like, like, let's say Jim is out and like having sex and he's masturbating, he's having a good time. He's not distressed. It's not messing with his day-to-day life. It's not messing with his relationships. He doesn't have, he's not thinking about it all the time. He would not be someone, and maybe he's watching porn, he would not be someone that has an addiction problem. He could socially watch porn or socially masturbate. I mean, masturbation, especially for people who don't know, it's blood flow to your genitalia, right? So once you have a natural, for men, natural erection, and the women is the same, right? And that blood flow gets there and it gets engorged, it turns on the arousal, right? That is a natural scientific thing. Sometimes that happens because of visual stimuli. Sometimes it just happens because of hormones, or whatever else is going on. So it is important to know that these are considerations when someone is having a sex addiction. Just because someone comes to me and says, oh, I'm having a lot of sex and I was sleeping with this person, I was sleeping with this person, I'm in an open relationship and I have polyamory and I am LGBTQ, like, or I like to cross dress, or I like kink, it doesn't necessarily mean they have a sex addiction. There's a difference between sexual compulsive behavior, sex addiction, porn addiction, offending behavior, fetishes. These are all different umbrellas, and they are not the same. And so here, I'm talking to people who, you're watching porn all the time and you feel horrible about it. It's time consuming. You feel gross after it. You feel shame. Maybe you have a partner and you can't even perform with your partner because of the constant pornography or the constant masturbation, that you're starting to get erectile dysfunction. These are the individuals that I work with when talking about sex addiction. So just so you know, like, what would be the reason or the influences for sex addiction or compulsive behavior? About 72% of individuals who actually have a sex addiction experience physical abuse. 81% experience sexual abuse. 91%, which is the highest, and I find this very interesting, the highest amount that brings out individuals with sex addiction, love addiction, are people who experience emotional abuse. And I think that will make sense when you start to realize that as you're growing up, you are craving intimacy. And if there is emotional abuse, then you are trying to figure out what is intimacy and how to get intimacy. And these families tend to be very rigid. As a matter of fact, it says about 77% of those with sexual addiction comes from rigid families. So these are people who are just black and white thinkers, all or nothing. Could be very religious, could be just like no nonsense. And that can cause anxiety in someone because they're always afraid that they're going to make a mistake if they can't color it perfectly in the lines. And so that can lead to someone who has high stress, and they start to use sex as a way to release their cortisol levels and increase their dopamine. 87 were in a disengaged family. It doesn't mean that the family is not together. It just means that they don't talk. Like, the family that has the elephant in the room, but they never talk about the elephant in the room. That is the family. That is the disengaged family. Oh, we don't talk about that. That's hush hush. We don't even talk about sex. Like, what is sex? Just don't do it. That's what you don't do, right? These are the percentages. And then and then 68%, they come from a rigid and disengaged. So it's black and white, all or nothing, and shh, don't talk about it. Okay, so I think that that is very, very important. So these are the factors that would cause someone to um, possibly struggle into a sexual addiction or pornography addiction. Um, I will say there is a difference between sexual addiction and digital addiction. So, sexual addiction is usually when someone is actually having sex with a person and it is a transactional act. There is no emotions. It's give and take. It's reciprocity, and maybe they're having issues with like overspending, overspending. You know, and the prostitutes. Like I've canceled someone who was like spending about $10,000 on prostitutes as he traveled, right? And so like it was causing this financial stress. Like he was a successful business owner, he has a wife, but like he just kept spending money on these prostitutes. There are other people who have sexual addictions where I knew someone where they would just maybe they would be at work and next thing you know they would look up on Tinder or wherever they could go, see who's the nearest person, and then they're like, okay, I can meet you at a park, let me go have sex. You know how dangerous that is? Like there's no condoms, I don't know you, and they just have sex with this person can kill them, right? And they don't want to do it. Like it's just this urge and they feel really guilty about it afterwards. I think the important thing about the knowing about unhealthy sex or sexual compulsive behavior is it's compulsive. It causes distress. It impacts a person's day-to-day life, and it causes them to have shame, and they live in this cycle. And there's a cycle, which I will talk about what that cycle is, but it is a cycle. Relapse. I'm not going to do it again. Do it again. Not going to do it again. Do it again. Right? There's a ritual. Usually, there's a ritual on how to do that. The other thing with pornography, so like digital, that was the sex addiction. Digital addiction is more like people who like sexting. So like they just like send me a nude or send me send me a nude or send me a nude or send me a what do you call it? You know, I'm going to send you something. So there's this level of voyeurism and exhibitionism going on here. And then they have the compulsive masturbation to go with it. And with the compulsive masturbation, it is like they cannot stop and they go for hours at a time. Many of my clients, they have masturbated to the point where they have sores. Okay, it's not fun. They don't want sores on their penis or their clitoris, right? So it just depends on you know, what's unhealthy. So these are the definitions. I think I will do another video later on, like how much porn is too much porn, what's a normal amount of like masturbation or healthy amount of masturbation. I'm just gonna kind of answer questions that I get most of the time from my clients and how to answer them, because most of the time like even if they want recovery, they still want to know like can I still have sex, can I still enjoy this? And so not only am I trying to take away the behavior that is harmful, but I'm also trying to reshape them to be able to experience sex in a way that is healthy. All right, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please leave comments, ask questions. I would love to answer any questions that you guys may have. If you're not following me, please go follow me on Instagram at the Trinity Holistic Healing, or Let's Talk About Sex is the page. I look forward to talking to you. Also, like I said, you can also go to the TrinityHolisticHealing.com if you're in the Texas, Missouri, Ohio, and Tennessee area, and I am able to do a counseling with you. If you are needing relationship coaching, I am open to everyone in all states. So I look forward to talking to you guys. Until next time, bye.